Alright, shed update time. It is Sunday, and I've just been picking away at this. It is slightly cold out. Got my brand new jumpsuit on. Pretty sweet. And I've got the heater cooking to do a couple of things. A, to warm my fingers up occasionally, and B, to keep my phone from dying, because even on the charger, it will die because it is cold, and this is a semi-old phone. So that also serves as a drill battery warmer, because the drill batteries don't really charge or take a charge or hold a charge. Well, it is very cold. It's not even that cold, which is kind of annoying, but oh well. So on this, I've moved on to some of the rear sort of nonsense. I got this piece all crafted and put in. As it turns out, this is actually a piece that I robbed off of that corner of the other bed, which, as it works out, is slightly annoying because I made that whole piece and I already had that whole piece. But it worked out because the dimensions of these ribs are the same, so I was able to just trim the end because it's longer in the back, and it lined up. And I actually was able to swap that brace over, because the original one, where it goes up behind in here, that seam gets full of water and rusts, and the original one was close to popping through. I did not like that. It would have needed to get patched. It was all expanded and blown apart, which makes me wonder what those look like in the back, because I didn't fix those. So fingers crossed they're not completely wrecked. But so this one was quite solid. I took the brace off of the panel anyway because I suspected there was going to be a little bit of corrosion in there, and there was. Not very much at all. It was quite nice. However, left to its devices, that would have gotten bad within, I don't know how many years, but it would have eventually gone bad. So I ground all that out, neutralized it, primed it, welded it back together, and then just absolutely slathered some Rust-Oleum on there. So that should be way more than good enough. And then I got the whole piece welded on, ground down, and yeah, that's where we're at. And then I ran into a bit of a predicament because I realized I don't have that piece, that corner piece. I don't know what I was thinking. Maybe it was bad on the other bed. I don't know. I could have sworn I had that piece, but I don't. I have this piece for that side. I don't have that piece, so that kind of throws a wrench in things. And I felt rather proud of myself on this. I have crafted with rudimentary tools, a hammer and a piece of railroad. Very, very pleased with that. Fits pretty reasonable. What I was able to do is I got the slice I cut out of the diagonally opposite corner back there, which is the same piece, essentially. And this is the piece that came out, so it's junk, but the dimensions and the shape of it are very valuable at this point in time. So what I was able to do is, after some thinking and toiling and moderate frustration, I realized if I stretch this out here, it's kind of difficult to try and explain, but essentially what I did is I got a piece of metal just as a proof of concept. This is what this is, just some thinner gauge steel, and I cut a slice in it along, it had like a bend in it right here, and then I just pounded that on the anvil in kind of a triangular pattern with more stretching here than here. And then this, let's see, this was straight out kind of like that. And I cut a triangle out of here so this can shrink, sort of, not really shrinking, but imitating shrinking via pizza cut. And bend that down like that. And then this was hanging out like that, so I just lopped that off, and there we go. So that was my proof of concept, just to show myself that I'm not insane. And then I made it out of a nice thick piece of 18 gauge steel. And there we go. It's bigger than it needs to be, but that's okay, because I can always trim it. So, I'm quite proud of myself for figuring that out, because I was, for a minute, thinking I was going to have to bring it into class tomorrow and make it on the power hammer, and I really don't want it to be dependent on the fancy tools to be able to get the same sort of result. So, well, technically, I made that on a power hammer. I power the hammer. Yes. So, next step is to get that and the other little piece goes there, sorta. Weld it in. And then what I'm gonna do is, well, a little bit later, I guess, this strip has got to get replaced because it's not rotting through, but it's kind of bulging. It needs to get done. Yes, this piece needs to be replaced, as I was saying. This is 18 gauge steel, and then the bed floor behind it is 16. So if this is not perforated yet, that means there's probably enough meat on the bed floor metal to be able to work with. So that's what I'm rolling with there. That's the theory. But I would like to do that after everything else in here is squared away, because I don't want the center of the bed to like flex and bow. I mean, hell, I could almost do that with it bolted back on the truck, which is sounding like a tempting idea because I am running out of time and there's still a lot to do. As it is, I've pretty much written off doing any of this before the bed goes back on, just because I don't have the space to have the truck and the bed in here separate. So, and I don't really have a place to put the truck after like Wednesday. So I need to stay focused and get this done, or at least get what I absolutely need to have done before the bed can go on. And that means not doing this yet, not doing any of the little pinhole welding and other annoying little patchy poos. Yes, I could leave off the wheel tub strips until then, and then doing around the wheel tub, that seam, I guess I could leave that off, put that off too, just because I really don't have the space, and I want my truck back. The Benz is a decent vehicle, but it's quite annoying to drive, seeing as it doesn't get above 30. So, I miss my Dodge. That's, yeah. So, alright, I guess it's back to work for me, I guess until more stuff happens.